Housing prices are crazy, but why? Let's break down what's actually going on.
The boomers like to remind us of their 14% interest rates in the 1980s compared to our 7.5 today, and we should stop whining. But the average home was $47,000 in 1980, where today it is $436,000 for the average home. Let's compare that to salary. The average salary in 1980 was $12,000. It is only $56,000 today. So housing went up times 10, but incomes only went up times 4.5. And then if you look at it compared to the average home, it is 4 times the salary for the average home, where today it's 8 times. This person can't even be qualified for this. But if the 1980s person didn't want to deal with the 14%, they had an option called renting. They could actually rent an apartment for $243, which was only 24% of their income. Today, the average rent is $2,000, which is 42% of the average American's income. So if the average American can't afford the average house, they are almost being forced to rent. And if they're forced to rent, they're forced to spend 40% of their income on housing. That is what's putting pressure on Americans today.
Okay, so I'm just checking. We're all unable to buy a house right now, right? Like, I'm not the only one who runs the numbers every single day and looks at the budget and is just like, there is no way on earth that this is potentially feasible for me. Like, I'm working with 2 very average incomes. They're not great incomes, but they're fine incomes. Incomes that 10 years ago probably would have meant that we could buy a house. I digress. Anyway, we pay rent so that we can live somewhere, because when we got out of college, we had to rent so we could theoretically save money to eventually buy a home. Except rent is so astronomical that we are actually not able to save for a home. Even still though, like, we don't pay as much in rent as I know other people do. We don't live in a huge city. It's somewhat affordable, even though I still think it's ridiculous. Compared to other people, it's still affordable. Okay, so subtracting that from what we bring home a month, like, yeah, there's still some money left. Except that somehow, no matter what I do, because we've cut back on everything, we've cut back on groceries, eating out, we haven't actually traveled in a while. I have a freaking coffee machine at home, so I don't buy coffee out of the house. I will admit that we do get avocados, but we do get them from Costco, so it's less expensive. We both work from home, so we shouldn't be paying that much for gas, but yet somehow we are. I'm going through my credit card statement at the end of every month, and I'm literally spending $20 here and there. Like, there are no big purchases on this credit card, but the groceries are killing us. But we also have to eat. We can't not eat. We need to put gas in the car because sometimes we do have to go places. But like, I can't figure out where this is coming from. Like, we're not huge shoppers. We eat at home most of the time. Compared to other people my age, we do not spend money on alcohol or drugs. I don't freaking Uber Eats or Grubhub or anything. And I don't want to sound ungrateful, because at the end of the month we are able to save something, right? But it's not nearly enough to save up for a down payment on a freaking house. And if we did decide to go that route, it would take us, I calculated it, like 12 years of just doing absolutely nothing with our lives, like just staying at home, doing nothing. And I'm not willing to spend the next 12 years completely restricting myself for the dream, the possibility of a dream of getting to buy a home. Like, these are the best years of my life. I want to live them. And even if we did that and we saved for 12 years and we put a down payment on a house, we could not afford a nice one. Our mortgage would still cost more than my rent currently. So I'd essentially be paying more for a shittier living situation than I have now. And I feel like everyone's in this situation. And so my question is, like, if we have babies, which it seems a lot of us are not willing to do that right now, which I totally understand. So if we have them, like, I feel like we're just gonna see children raised in like communal living more. More families are gonna have to make do with smaller spaces. And I think we're just gonna see that because people acclimate, people are flexible. Because I'm genuinely not seeing a way to get this done without like completely derailing my life. Because I gotta keep paying bills, I gotta keep paying rent, I gotta keep eating, I gotta keep going places. And if I'm doing that, I just can't save that much money on the side. I love it here. I love it here so much.
Let's go back in time to buy a house. In 1983, I'm an average person looking to buy an average house. I got this average degree, which I got for free, and work an average job. After paying tax and rent, I have, if I save 50% of the remainder, it will take me 2 years to save up for the 20% deposit. Remember that as we head back to 2023, and I'm still an average person looking to buy an average house, got this average degree, and I have an average job. After paying tax, rent, and HECS, I have, if I save 50% of the remainder, it will take me 10.5 years to save up for the 20% deposit. It's clear that it's not just lazy, layabout young people sipping latte that's causing the problem. It would take me 84 years to save up enough money if I skip having a latte every day just for the deposit. I don't have 84 years left. In 40 years, the average house price has increased by 14 times, whereas full-time salaries have only increased by 4.7 times. Another way of looking at it is, houses used to cost 3 times your salary, and now they cost 10 times. All things being equal, you'd have to be making $300,000 a year to benefit from that same 3 times ratio. You might be thinking $90,000, wow, that's high. It is. That's because CEOs and vice chancellors taking home millions inflate the total pool of income and skew the average fund. If we look at the median, that is the figure in the middle of all figures, that's around $48,000. So if you're making more than that, you're making more than 50% of all working people in Australia. And still, housing is so far out of reach. There's something bigger at play here. It's going to take me a bit longer than one video to explain. In part 2, I'm going to explain the cause. And part 3, the solution. If you haven't already, please hit all these buttons on the right hand side. And together, we're going to get to the bottom of this housing crisis, and maybe we can fix it.
Everyone's dream is to buy a house, but for me, my car might be the home for the rest of my life. But why do I think this? Well, it's because I didn't make that much money this month, and therefore, I'm off track saving up money. I want to buy an RV in a new state and move out of my car, but also within 100 days, because it's been over a year since I've slept in my own real bed.
Listen to me. I will never be able to afford a house.
My children will never be able to have the life I live because I can't afford to do it.
I don't think any of us thought when we were growing up that owning a home would be a luxury. Like maybe we thought it would be a bit difficult, but not like a luxury that basically only the rich will be able to afford.
The average millennial is 36 years old. They can't afford to buy the house. So therefore, their future self is poorer. If they think of how much of the stock market they can buy less with their money. They have less savings. They've got debts from university. So they don't have the ability to get out of this trap. And then what we are finding is because of this, they're having to live with other people into their 30s. They don't have kids and they don't get married. And these numbers have collapsed since 1983. You've seen these numbers come down from people living on their own. So i.e., you could get your job, get yourself an apartment, has gone from 80% to 62%. You're seeing the marriage rate halve. You're seeing the home ownership rate go from 50% to 30%. These are all expressions of the same problems, which is people know their future is fucked and they can feel it. They have a sense of desperation. You see then the same cohort of kids in their 30s doing 2 jobs, 3 jobs, 4 jobs. That's not because they want to. Nobody wants to work 12-hour days, 7 days a week. It's because they have to. And their parents, the baby boomers, who are in their 70s and retiring, never had that. They were the richest generation the world had ever seen. So this is the first generation that won't be as rich as their parents. And that's a weird thing because we're all used to human progress, the American dream. If the American dream is, well, you'll never be as wealthy as your parents and they were middle-class people and I'm now less well off than them, that's kind of fucked.
So I'm not sure why no one's talking about this right now, but the U.S. housing market just reached the most unaffordable level in U.S. history. Worse than 2008 crisis. The median cost for a home now is $415,000. 5 years ago, the median cost for a home is $270,000. That's an increase of 54%, while the wages only went up 29%. Think about it like this. You need the household income to be $127,000 just to qualify for the mortgage. The median household income now in the U.S. is $80,000. Not to mention existing home sales in 2025 came in at about $4.1 million. That's the lowest total of sales of homes in 30 years. Honestly, the economy crash is inevitable at this point.
If you stop paying your rent, your landlord will evict you. And if you stop paying your property taxes, the government's going to take your house. So really, you're always renting from somebody. It's just a matter of, are you renting from the landlord or you're renting from the government?
This is going to terrify you. There are more houses on the market right now than there have ever been in the last 10 years. House prices in real terms are down 17% since September 2022. Now, why is that scary? Why is that terrifying? It's because there is a narrative right now that says that house prices are too expensive, that they're unaffordable, that who can afford them? But if house prices are as low as they were since 2003, once you adjust for inflation, and if we've got more housing on the market than we've had in 10 years, it tells you that houses should be more affordable than ever. But if we still can't afford houses, what does that say about the value and the income that we're generating? The truth is, my friends, that house prices are not going up, right? They've been flatlining for a long time. They've capped out because the average British worker can no longer afford them, even when they combine salaries with their spouse. What's really happening is that we are now post the new colonial era. For the last 75 years, we have benefited off the backs of people working for £1 a day in developing nations. And that's why we've now seen a 44% increase in salaries in Poland since 2017. The Vietnamese have seen a 66% increase in salaries over the last 10 years, yet the British workers have only seen 0.1% growth since 2017 in the average salary. So if all of our contemporaries in developing nations, their salaries are increasing 100 times the rate as yours, guess what? The cost of everything they produce goes up. And so those clothes that you buy, the food that you buy, everything that we source from abroad, those workers who used to produce it for us for £1 a day, $1 a day, they don't want to do that anymore. So the cost gets passed on to you. This is the effect of being in a weakening UK economy relative to everybody else. That is why everything feels so expensive. That is why everyone thinks that house prices are going up, but really what's happening is that your salary and income is being devalued and house prices are staying pretty stagnant.